Welcome back to News Across Nigeria, where we tell you what's happening now across the Nigerian Federation. Now, I would like to remind you that all our top stories can be found on our website, that's channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Do visit m.channelstv.com to see us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. We'd also like to encourage you to use the Eyewitness feature in the Channels TV app. If you have pictures or videos you'd like to share with us, just tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. Now to the northeastern part of the country, and recently the United Nations and the Doctors Without Borders, which is a humanitarian agency, raised some serious concern over the malnutrition of over 200,000 internally displaced persons, mainly children, who are even at the risk of dying in the Northeast. The UN humanitarian coordinator to Nigeria, Mr. Mohammed Salfidin, made the shocking revelation at an emergency meeting with donor agencies and the Borno State government in Abuja. According to him, if nothing is done to scale up intervention for food and Medicare to IDPs, the camps are at the verge of losing 5 children every hour.
To those who are in Bama now, who have been just relocated by the army out of the Boko Haram areas, are more than 260,000 people, and they need urgent help now. Some of them are in a bad nutritional situation, and unless we act now, they will die. Unless we are able to scale up our response, we will see in Borno an average of 5 children dying every hour.
I urge the donor community and the development partners to therefore consider the need to look beyond the IDP camps to the other people living in the host community.
And now to take a look at this issue, we have with me, joining me by telephone, News Across Nigeria, the Commissioner for Health in the state, Dr. Haruna Mishelia. That's the Commissioner for Health in Borno State. Doctor, welcome to the program. Well, we try and speak with Dr. Haruna Mishelia, who is the Commissioner for Health in Borno State. It's the pertinent issue of malnutrition amongst internally displaced persons in Borno State. We have a report that if it is not nipped in the bud, 5 children are at the risk of dying every hour. So we'll see if we can speak with Dr. Mishelia again, if you're with us now. Hello, doctor. We do apologize for not being able to get the doctor on the horn, as it were. But also in the studio with me to talk about this issue, to just move on along, to take a closer look at child nutrition and how this can affect the children at the internally displaced persons camp and what that means for the risk factor. Joining me in the studios is a child nutritionist, Mrs. Adeto Onojobi. You're welcome to News Across Nigeria.
Thank you.
Now, we know that the children are very it's such a hard thing to take, that in the midst of all the poverty, all the needs and the necessary things that they need that they don't have, children could be on the receiving end of starvation or malnutrition. What's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Basically, when you talk about malnourished children in internal displaced camps, it's just a very simple issue to deal with, and it goes into the government regulation and policies guiding nutrition in Nigeria. Basically, between the age of 0 and 36 months, every child has the compulsory food that they should eat, which is breast milk. We try to encourage breast milk for the first 1 year of every child's life. Afterwards, about 6 months, you can start to supplement food. But the issue is the breastfeeding is something that everybody does. It's an African tradition, basically. But children these days are well breastfed and at the same time get highly malnourished. Why? Because breastfeeding is not an automatic thing. We say it's the best, but it's not automatic. You know, there are so many factors surrounding breastfeeding. Psychology, for example. An average woman who gives birth to a child and is not psychologically stable cannot breastfeed that child very well. Aside of that, children in internal displaced camps are highly malnourished, and truly, we would lose more than that amount, to say the least, every hour, because these children don't eat what they are supposed to eat. And adults cannot eat a baby's food, so a baby cannot eat an adult's food.
Now, we also have this very disturbing information that many of those children are unattended to. They're unaccompanied. Some of them have lost their parents. You know, some of them, their parents are dead. Some, their parents, they're missing. So lots of missing children, missing from their parents.
So if these children don't have parents, then they should be given supplementary for feeding, which is the infant formula and cereals. So if they don't give these children these cereals that they need, these children will get malnourished. It's simple.
So what the state government needs to do
is to provide the children with the necessary food that they need. There's what you call the RDA, Recommended Daily Allowance of Nutrient Intake. Every child needs fiber. Every child needs carbohydrate. Every child needs calcium.
Yes.
They need whey protein. Do you understand me? And they need carbohydrates. And these things are found in their own food.
In the Northeast.
I don't even think infant formula or feed baby foods are readily available in those places. We have worked in IDP camps on several occasions.
What was your experience?
To be very sincere, it was bad. It was bad because we found a lot of people coming in, do you understand, to intervene for these children. But most people who come in bring adult food for these babies. If a child doesn't get the necessary nutrient that the child needs, excuse me, the child can't grow. So, to save this situation, the government needs to intervene by supplying children with the necessary food that they need.
From wherever the money will come from to get those donations across, doesn't it also mean that they're susceptible to falling ill?
Basically, when a child is malnourished, the physical symptoms begin to show. That is when you see, you know, the starvation exterior look. Do you understand? The underweight, the folding arms, and basically the truth of the matter is not every child in IDP camp is malnourished. There are some children who are marasmic there.
What does that mean?
Yeah, marasmus and malnutrition are relative.
So what does marasmic mean?
When the child is marasmic, that is when you see that the child's physical features has really deteriorated. You begin to see the child, the hands bend, the neck can hold. Do you understand? They fall sick. They tend to cough a lot, diarrhea, constant diarrhea, high temperature, and all of that. So, first of all, for them to be able to deal with the issue of malnutrition, they need to first identify the severity. So, if we need food, let's begin to infuse food. If they need serious medical attention, what they do most times is they bring the RUTF, which is the therapeutic food for malnourished children to give. Now, if you salvage that situation at that point, what about sustaining those children? So the main thing is, let's not deceive ourselves. Do you understand? This is a policy guiding us in Nigeria. It guides the whole of the world, WHO regulation. But now that we are badly faced, we need to deal with it. And dealing with it means that the government needs to start giving these children baby food.
And that's a very important point that we think that the government should take into cognizance. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this discourse on malnutrition of children in the internally displaced persons camps in the Northeast. Please stay with us.